Hey! Thanks for clicking on my video. To the 4 people out there that give a shit, I was sick for like a week and then I had to go do things with life for like a week again, so that's why it took me a little while. But I'm back. And in the wake of Ed's release, tonight I want to talk about some future DLC characters for Street Fighter 6. If you couldn't tell from what I've posted on my channel already, I love this game. It's honestly probably my favorite fighting game ever released. There's a whole lot of reasons for that, but one of them being just the way they've handled their characters. The way they've added to the traditional characters of the Street Fighter games and redesigned some of the newer characters is incredibly interesting to me. Plus all the brand new characters they've added to the game are really cool and interesting, so booyah, good job, Capcom. Woohoo! So I know like literally every single fighting game YouTuber ever has already made this video, but I kind of just got here, so yeah, it's my turn, man. However, I am not just here to give my opinion. I'm gonna try and make some predictions based on who we have in the game, who we don't have in the game already, and the general vibe slash design philosophy that this game has been going for. I think we can make some educated guesses about who will be returning in the future seasons of DLC. And hopefully we can get pretty close to a general idea of what a final roster for Street Fighter 6 might look like. I'm gonna start by going over a quick most wanted list for me personally, and right after we'll get on with the prediction. So these are in no specific order, but in general I'm gonna put my most wanted near the top. First up, I've got Makoto. She's a personal favorite of mine, and I think she would be great in this game, but I'm gonna save some of that for a little bit later because I also do predict that she'll be coming. Next I've got Sean, and Sean I want so goddamn bad. You could do so many interesting things with this character, it's like not even funny. Like, it's been years since Third Strike, so he has had a lot of time to develop his own fighting style and improve upon what he's got. So I think there's so much opportunity to make him like he was once a joke character, but now this dude is good as fuck. And like, sure, yeah, maybe he doesn't have Hadoken still. Maybe he doesn't know how to use that spiritual energy very well. Like, I don't know, it's a super still. I kind of like that. But maybe instead, like, you know how he had the basketball taunt? Maybe he like has started to use that just straight up as a weapon. Imagine if you could like do some set play shit where you like shoot up the basketball and it like hits them on their wake up. Obviously there's a basketball about to hit them, so they're gonna block it, and then it bounces up, and then you could do his forward kick move and you could kick the basketball back down at their head and it's like a projectile. I don't even know, that's just an idea I had, and oh, it'd be so sick. This guy should be in the game. Next up I've got Ibuki, who is actually my main in Third Strike. I know we've already got a ninja character, but when you put Ibuki's gameplay style and Kimberly's gameplay style next to each other, they're nothing alike. Like, sure, yeah, they're both fast and they're both girl ninjas, but Ibuki is a lot more about like her tools and all the shit that she uses to like throw at you in a very hit and run gameplay style, whereas Kimberly is more about speed and rush down and get in your face. I don't know, you can have 2 ninjas in the game and just have them work differently, like that's totally fine. Next up I've got Sagat, classic Street Fighter character. He had a really cool design update in Street Fighter 5, and I would love to see how they change that a little bit. I can't imagine they would change it a whole bunch. Minot, I've never actually played, but she seems super interesting. Her ball thing, I can only imagine what that would be like with Drive Rush on top of it, and her design seems really cool. I just would be very excited if she were in. Q is another character from Third Strike that I really love, and he's got that whole story with G. They're building up to something there. I'm sure we'll get one of the two. Gen seems dope. We don't have like an actual stance character in this game yet. He's always looked really cool. I didn't play any Street Fighter 4, but I love stance characters in other games, and I feel like with the DLC they've been very heavily leaning towards characters that are like execution heavy. Our Mika just looks awesome. Give me more baddies, give me more grapplers. I want him. El Fuerte, he's crazy. What the hell? Imagine throwing Drive Rush on top of that. Dudley is hands down the best boxer across the series. A couple more Third Strike characters, Urien, Alex, and Elena. Urien is another villain-esque character that we could add in. Big button man. His Aegis Reflector is perfect for like a level 2 super. Alex is the poster boy of Third Strike, so like of course I want him. And Elena is super interesting. She's got huge buttons. Plus you could do a lot of stuff with her like what you do with Jury, where her punches would actually be kicks. Or I guess it's similar to what you do with Ed. But those are just my favorites to get in, me personally. Just kind of wanted to mention them in case any bias shows up. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this shit, huh? Who's going to get in? Let's look at some facts and logic. So firstly, I'm going to predict that we're going to get 5 DLC characters for 1, maybe 2 years that we're getting DLC characters. But the rest will probably just have 4 like this year did. I mainly say this because I'm assuming they'll want to give us fans more of what we've been asking for, but they also probably have this release schedule and the next year's release schedule already planned out, so they can't really make a whole bunch of changes to it even though we've been bitching and moaning about it. I also think they'll be doing something similar to what they did this year, where alongside the rest of the characters that are returning characters, we'll get like 1 brand new character. If we assume this runs for 5 years, that's about 21 DLC characters, which more than doubles the base roster. 4 of those have already been announced or are already in the game, and another 4 are brand new characters, so that leaves us with about 13 slots to fill. But I'm gonna give myself 15 predictions for a little bit of wiggle room. Starting at the top is characters that I think are practically guaranteed to get in, and as we go down the list, they'll get a little bit less likely until the bottom is like pretty much just a guess. First up, we've got Alex. As the poster boy of Third Strike, I imagine he will be the first Third Strike character that we get into the roster. I could even see him being the first character announced after Akuma, just to show us fans that Third Strike is coming to Street Fighter 6. As I'm sure you're aware, this is the first game in the Street Fighter series to take place after Third Strike since its release, so I think there's a lot they can do with these characters in how they've evolved as people, and I think Alex in particular could be really, really cool. He's known for his super big buttons like his medium kick, his heavy kick, and even just his far fierce, and if you put Drive Rush behind a bunch of those buttons, you create a character that is pretty scary. Add in the command grab mix-up to this Drive Rush, and he's already got quite a bit going for him. He's also a character that's heavily based around doing a lot of stun damage, like his Super Art 3, which is Stun Gun Headbutt. And so it'd be interesting to see them incorporate that through maybe drive gauge damage. I don't know, I think that could be really cool. And just in general, he has kind of a different aesthetic from a lot of characters in the game, so I think he is nothing but a good addition to Street Fighter 6 and an obvious addition. Next up is, of course, Sakura. She's just too much of a fan favorite to be left behind. People love this chick to the ends of the earth, so I think she's a shoo-in for the next Shoto slot after Akuma. I haven't played a bunch of games with her in it, but personally I hope they do something really interesting with her character. She's always essentially just been Girl Ryu, and I'd like to see them differentiate her from that a little bit. Or at the very least, maybe she uses a lot of Ryu's tactics in different ways. And maybe you could do something cool with her character, like, I don't know the lore super well, but if she's this Ryu fangirl, maybe after all these years of like chasing him down and trying to work with him, she gets tired of waiting and kind of creates her own style. Or maybe when he goes off with Oro, she also learns from Oro a little bit and has like some more Oro specific stuff that he doesn't have. But whatever it is, I want her to be something more than just a schoolgirl that shoots Hadokens. I mean, shit, in all honesty, that's probably why people like her. But I don't know, change up the formula a little bit. Next up, we've got Sagat, another obvious choice. Nearly all of the original World Warriors have returned in the base roster, but this guy was left behind because he's perfect DLC bait, man. Who isn't gonna spend money on this guy? And having received the aforementioned awesome redesign in Street Fighter V, I'm super interested to see what they do with that, but I'd also be curious to see what they change about his gameplay to make him stand out from the other Shotos. But most importantly, I want him to come back with like some cool character motivation, where when him and Ryu were young and up-and-comers, he lost to Ryu and got the big old scar over his chest, but he's hoping that when they're old masters like they are now, he can eventually beat him out in the end. I think that's a super compelling storyline that they've just gotta follow up on. Next up, we've got Dan. Me. I'm in the game. Dan is just the classic joke character, and he's not going anywhere. With every new game in the series, he has continued to come into his own style, grow a bit stronger, and become more viable while still maintaining his status as the low-tier character, which is something that Street Fighter 6 doesn't really have. And as much as I like that almost everyone in the cast has this sort of viability, I also think joke characters bring a lot of personality to fighting games. A joke character that's as relevant as they have ever been is something that I could totally see Street Fighter 6 doing. Up next, I've got Q/G. I'm putting these two together because in a lot of ways they're pretty much the same character, and it's gonna be one or the other, and like, definitely not both. Personally, I'm hoping for Q, but I know that's bias. But yeah, like I said earlier, there's a lot of story that's been built up about these characters, and they're definitely gonna want to continue that, and maybe even reach a conclusion, sort of, or at the very least, like, let us know what the fuck's going on. Plus, their gameplay is very unique and super fun, and people really liked G and Q, honestly. And I feel like something this game is lacking in is slow tanks, like we've got Zangief. But Q isn't even really a grappler. He's got a command grab, but he's mostly just a big strong dude with a lot of health. and I like that. And the command grab that I mentioned is like a comboable command grab, so he already has like some really interesting juggles with his EX dash punch into another dash punch or whatever. But imagine throwing some drive rush juggles off that, like EX dash punch into like a drive rush medium punch where he like swings up. Up next, I have got Minot. I mentioned her as a character I am hoping to come into the game, but I also think she's a really likely character. As of right now, we've got a couple psycho power users, but we don't have any of like the good guy magic stuff, which is really just Rose or Minot. And with this game looking for the next generation and having brought in a lot of characters from Street Fighter V already, I definitely think Minot is the more likely of the two. Plus, like I mentioned earlier, her ball thing is super cool, and throwing Drive Rush on top of that could be super interesting. Also, partially because her Drive Rush normals would be different depending on whether her ball is out or not. A redesign could be sick, gives us another female character into the cast, which is always awesome. She also has that thing where she throws a bunch of balls out and they like kind of surround you, which is perfect for a level 2 super. I mean, it's practically what JP has already. So yeah, I'd be surprised if we got Rose instead, but also, I mean, there's a lot of classic Street Fighter characters in this game too, so I could see it. It's another one or the other type situation, I think. But personally, I'm 90% sure it's going to be Minot. Up next, I have got Makoto. She's a fan favorite Third Strike character, a fan favorite Street Fighter character, I think. I think she got like, she's like top 5 or something from like a poll they did, if I remember correctly. With how interesting her kit is in Third Strike alone, I can only imagine how interesting it could be in the context of Street Fighter 6. Like, she's already got crazy dash-based movement, and throwing Drive Rush on top of that just feels so natural. And it would create for an interesting situation where she kind of wants to choose between whether she Drive Rushes or not, because there'd be a lot of benefits to both. I don't know, man, I could go off on a whole tangent about this character. I could make a video about this. A video that may or may not already be in the works. Subscribe. Next character on my list is Vega. As one of the only remaining Street Fighter II characters without any representation whatsoever, I think Vega will make his return soon. Adding Drive Rush to this character's kit will make for some crazy long-range normals and wild juggle combos. He'll definitely focus around a kind of hit-and-run type style, using his wall bounce to escape many situations. Anytime I played Street Fighter II, even as like a kid, I was always immediately drawn to this character. It's the blonde boys, what can I say? But honestly, I could see him getting replaced with like a new character that uses his style, kind of like what they did with A.K.I. We've got to get some sort of Vega representation coming in the game. Just depends on what exactly it looks like. Next up, we've got Urien. I think he is a really popular character from Third Strike that was especially popular when they added him in Street Fighter V as well. A lot of his moves are really cool, and he's another character that can add some sinister energy to the cast. He's got big-ass limbs, which make for big-ass normals. He represents a area of the world that is a little underrepresented across the games, although I guess we do have Lily now. But regardless, his supers are also just kind of perfect for the game, like I mentioned before with Aegis Reflector. The main thing I don't like about his design in Street Fighter V though is that he has like normal eyes. Give him his scary eyes back, and also make him naked. Up next I've got Dudley. When I wrote this script, I was a little hesitant about adding Dudley to this list, just because Ed was coming to the game and he's a boxer, and if he was very boxery, I was worried about whether or not we'd get another one. But Ed is really weird. Ed is like a long-ranged character more than anything else. In fact, his close range is kind of almost the weakest part of his kit. So I think having another boxer that fits the typical boxer archetype and can do the close range stuff that Ed doesn't do is incredibly likely. Like, I honestly might have even moved Dudley up the list if I had written this after Ed came out. But he's a fan favorite Third Strike character. There's a whole bunch of people that really want him, and I think he would fit really perfectly as a new addition to the like true rushdown characters of the cast. And plus he would have a counter that like actually makes sense for his archetype. You could even make the OD version function as a little combo starter or something. I don't know, man. Up next, I've got Ibuki. The game just needs another ninja, man. There's always more than one. And one of those two has always been Ibuki. And the main reason I say Ibuki over someone like Guy or Zeku is because her gameplay style is all about her ninja tools. And she's not one of the Bushinryu characters. It's kind of a shame because I actually do really want Zeku in the game. I think he would be super sick. I haven't played him, but the young to old mechanic is a really cool idea, and I would love to see what they do with that. It's like the stance character thing I was talking about. But regardless, I think Ibuki is the most likely character that they'll add. Up next, I've got Cody. I honestly don't know a whole lot about Cody, but this game's story mode takes place in Metro City, and I know he was like a mayor or something, and he went to jail or something. He was originally a Fatal Fury character, and a lot of his story takes place in Metro City, and the main story of this game takes place in Metro City. So it makes a lot of sense to me that there would be a very Metro City-centric character in the game. Yep, that's my reason. Up next, I've got C. Viper. She was very, very, very popular in Street Fighter 4. A lot of people loved her. I saw a video not too long ago where a certain female player in the Street Fighter 4 era was interviewed, and she said that seeing another female player play C. Viper got them into playing the game, and particularly that character. She just has a really cool kit, and she was skipped over for 5 for some reason, so I could definitely see her coming back in 6. Up next, I've got Poison. She was a very well-liked character in 5, and as of right now, the only character we have with like extra long normals is Dhalsim. We have a little bit now with Ed with his flicker normals. She's always reminded me of Axel from Guilty Gear, and putting Drive Rush behind all of these things would make for some awesome juggle combo potential. Plus, if this game takes place after Third Strike, she could have some interesting interactions with Hugo, either as part of her character or with him being a separate playable character. Though I definitely think he is a lot less likely than she is. Finally, I've got Oro. And the only real reason I say this is because Oro trained Ryu in between games, and now Ryu is how he is. He could be coming. So yeah, those are my 15 characters. We'll see how right about all that I am. Especially towards the end of that list, it gets a little hard to narrow them down. I'm honestly kinda guessing with the last few, as you could tell by my short descriptions. And I left out some characters that I think actually do have a good chance, like Sean. Like I said, he'd be fucking dope. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments who you think is coming to the game, whether you think I was right or wrong. Maybe there's a character you think is coming that I didn't even mention. Whatever it is, I want to know about it. Let's talk. If you want to help out the channel, since I just destroyed my algorithm by being sick and having a family, leave a like, comment, subscribe, you know what to do. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Peace.
We await your return, warrior.